radio show host in Seattle called Paul Gallant.
You are definitely living in the hindsight world today, Paul.
Do you feel there's been a consistent theme with the interceptions?
I think every interception really has a different story.
I was just kind of curious what Paul gets to say.
You got f***ing grow up, mother. Are you kidding me?
Paul Gallant, what the hell is wrong with you?
Hello and welcome aboard another episode of the Gallant Says podcast, available live at twitch.tv/Gallant Says and youtube.com/Paul Gallant every single weekday afternoon from 1 to 1:30 Central Time. Around then, sometimes we start a little bit later, like today. Also available in podcast form, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, and SoundCloud. It is Tuesday, February 21st of 2023. We're far away from NFL free agency. We are likely to see little action that's exciting on the part of the Houston Texans when that official start date of free agency comes around. But I thought, based off of an article that was at ESPN.com today, that maybe we could take a look at what's been going on and what could be possible for the Houston Texans. So you go to ESPN.com, you got the old insider account. There is a piece titled, "This 2023 NFL Free Agency, Best Team Fits for the Top 50 Available Players." And you would think there's not going to be one mention of the Houston Texans here. You would be mistaken, because they're not rock bottom in the NFL anymore. I think that's the Cardinals. I'm not going to act like Jonathan Gannon's a bad coach based off of the introduction he had with not just Arizona media, but Cardinals players. Means he's going to suck. But he does have to work with Kyler Murray. How is that going to actually go? Anyway, here is the actual piece itself at ESPN.com. And again, the title of this is the 2023 NFL free agency, the best fits for the top 50 available players. You take a look at the top. Lamar Jackson, Ravens. Orlando Brown Jr. with the Chiefs. The first thing that comes up that's a little bit different, Javon Hargrave with the Philadelphia Eagles as a potential landing spot for the Seattle Seahawks. The Seahawks need some help on the interior defensive line. I wouldn't mind the Texans actually taking a look at somebody like that. But let's start by going to pick number 20 as far as the top free agents. Marcus Davenport. New Houston coach D'Amico Ryans needs edge defenders for his system, and Davenport fits here given his physical traits in both base and sub packages. Davenport could be schemed to isolate in one-on-one pass rush matchups or deployed on stunts, slants from the Texans' loaded front. At 6'6", 262 pounds, he can also set an edge against the run. While the production declined for Davenport in this past season, half a sack, 20 pressures, he did have 9 sacks and 3 forced fumbles in 2021. Another option right below, Jacoby Myers, best team fit, Houston Texans. The Texans will be in position to draft a rookie quarterback with the number 2 pick, and Myers is a fit here as a nuanced route runner with the 6'2" frame and strong hands to work the middle of the field. Last season, he caught 47 of 67 targets on throws inside the numbers. He's an intermediate option with outside flex, and he can stretch defenses on deep overs or crossers. And of course, Nick Caserio spent 20 seasons with the Patriots before getting hired by the Houston Texans. That one does intrigue me because you do look at the Texans wide receiver core and you do wonder, hey, what the hell is theoretical young quarterback X, Y, or Z going to have to fucking work with when he comes in here? Brandon Cooks doesn't want to be here. Nico Collins is not a true number 1. After that, we're talking about Chris Moore. Is there somebody else that I'm forgetting that you think has potential? It's not a great group to work with. And I think we've learned that giving a young quarterback good wide receivers like Jalen Hurts has with both A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith in Philadelphia can do wonders for that quarterback's development early on in their careers. I like the idea of Jacoby Myers there. Could you do better? Yes. But considering where you are, this is not a bad bridge towards hopefully drafting some elite Garrett Wilson level talent like the New York Jets found with their offensive rookie of the year in last year's draft. One last Houston Texan on this list. It's Arden Key, who played for the 49ers in 2021, had 11 sacks the last 2 years, the most recent of which was in Jacksonville. He's 6'5", has short area speed to create pocket disruption. I think a lot of the work that the Texans need has to do with their trenches, specifically the interior offensive line and what they have on the defensive line side of things. So that was an interesting article. I want to look at a different type of free agent, though, for the Houston Texans. And this has to do with an article that I saw just yesterday that I think means that one of the best players at this position will definitely be a free agent. Daniel Jones, quarterback for the New York Giants, just switched agents from CAA to Athletes First and supposedly is looking for something that would pay him $45 million a year. That seems outrageous, but hey, try to get your money. Daniel Jones did do just enough this past season to make sure he's going to be in the league for a while. Do you believe in him as a starting quarterback? I wouldn't. But Brian Daboll deserves credit for seeing that Jones does have a skill that sets him out. He can run. I still will ask anybody who defends Davis Mills to give me something that he does well, other than be tall or have a long neck. Daniel Jones could at least run, but anyway, he switched agents. That's noteworthy because Giants running back Saquon Barkley is now unlikely to get the franchise tag because I imagine the Giants are going to give Daniel Jones that. He could be a free agent along with some other running backs. Josh Jacobs of the Las Vegas Raiders, Tony Pollard, Miles Sanders of the Philadelphia Eagles. I would say Pollard with the Cowboys is likely to come back. The Cowboys can get out from underneath Ezekiel Elliott's ridiculous contract without that much of a cap hit this offseason. And also Jamal Williams, who had 17 touchdowns this past year. Whatever young quarterback for the Texans needs help on the interior offensive line, he needs wide receiver help. But he's really going to need a running game. And there's too much weight on Dameon Pierce as it already stands. Whenever Dameon Pierce was off the field and they put in Rex Burkhead or they put in Dario Ogunbowale, I'm pretty sure I butchered the name. I apologize for that. Dare Ogunbowale. Got it that time. Those guys are not who you want as your number 3, let alone number 4 running backs. They are your number 2, depending on the day, depending on health. So why not spend a little extra money on a short-term kind of deal, maybe a 3-year deal that's actually a 2-year deal with mostly guaranteed money there. I would love to see Jacobs, Jamal Williams, or somebody as a alternative to Dameon Pierce. And look, Pierce is very good at breaking tackles. We saw that beast mode run he had. Would it not be a exhausting day if you're a defense, if you're going up against Josh Jacobs, who I think is just as good at shedding tackles as Pierce and has proven over the last couple of years he's one of the best in the league at doing that? How about Jamal Williams, who clearly has a nose for the end zone and getting a yard when it's needed? 17 touchdowns. That's something impressive. People tend to frown at this, but when you are a bad team, signing a running back to a short-term deal that is likely going to result in overpaying him, I like it. Yeah, you can draft the guy in the 3rd round, the 4th round, the 5th round. For the most part, those guys are not going to give you the returns that you want. You're hoping that you get an Alvin Kamara or something like that, or a Dameon Pierce, who you just got. What are the odds that you're going to find that again? It could happen, certainly. And you are spending a lot of money at running back if you're going to be signing a Jacobs or a Saquon or a Jamal Williams. You're probably going to be paying, like I would say, on an annual basis, $10+ million a year. Yeah, it's not easy to stomach, but I feel like the Texans should think about it. So that's what I'm looking at. I know that wasn't on the list of free agents that the Texans could see themselves as great fits for, like ESPN put together, but I did find that interesting. Perez88 on youtube.com/Paul Gallant comments on this live show. What's up? Keep the show going. You have a lot of great insight on sports. Thank you. And I'll keep tuning in when I can. But I think the Texans just need explosive playmakers after the catch and on defense. Oh, they need so much. I mean, whatever it is that's good in the NFL, the Texans need it. Right now, your building blocks are Dameon Pierce. We all know the shelf lives of running backs and how long it takes one of those guys to potentially hit a wall or get hurt and not be the same guy again. Jalen Petrie, who is a safety, a position that I love, I respect. I played it in high school, but also realized that it's the last line of defense. It's not changing a game the way Ed Reed did back in the day, unless it's a very rare circumstance. And of course, Seattle's seen some good safeties. Cam Chancellor, Earl Thomas, in their own ways, very different players. But you need help on the defensive line. Your defensive line is nothing. Your linebackers are nothing. Your front seven is essentially faceless at this point in time. And sorry to besmirch the guys who are currently there, but they're not good enough, obviously. If you watch the defense this past season, it was ugly. I wanted to take a look at something beautiful, something glorious, and something that also could result in the same kind of accidental drug test or on purpose drug test that DK Metcalf got just the other day. I don't know how many people are aware of how awesome Astros shortstop Jeremy Peña was during I don't know why this is taking so long. I'm trying to get this photo up here. This is difficult. Why can't I just copy and paste the photo? Jeremy Peña, guys, is looking very, very big. And it has me wondering if he could potentially find himself the subject of a random drug test. I'm not suggesting that Pena has taken anything. All I'm saying is, as I filibuster to get this picture up, this is what Jeremy Peña's tricep looks like right now. Now, he's been big for a while. It's not like this has changed. And, of course, since his left arm is resting on his bat, his tricep is going to look a little bit bigger. But holy shit, that is a big fucking arm. Jeremy Peña, can you calm down a little bit? I'm a big fan, your biggest fan. I've sang songs about you on the Paul Gallant Show on ESPN 97.5 and 92.5. But tone it the fuck down, not up. I'm single too, okay? Everyone wants to marry you. I don't know if you're still in a relationship, but, like, you need to stop this. This isn't fair for the rest of our fair city, okay? That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. Perez88 says, Jeremy looks like he could play for the Texans. He probably, God damn it. He probably could. Fuck. God. I hope things are better this year. I really hope that this football team's remotely competitive next season. There's a couple other changes from a body perspective that we've seen over the last couple of months from the Houston Astros. Martin Maldonado lost 17 pounds. That's got to be pretty difficult to do in one offseason. And Mauricio Dubon's been eating 5,000 calories a day and has jumped up in weight from 165 last May to 190. And he said he was eating to the point that he didn't want to see food or smell anything. And he spent a lot of time in the gym, too. Very curious to see what that actually looks like for Mauricio Dubon. We get pictures of Jeremy Peña's triceps. Where's the pictures of Mauricio Dubon? I'm going to know if this is real, authentic weight. Let's shift. I don't know how many people watched the most recent episode of South Park last week. On the most recent episode of South Park, the premise of the episode was a Canadian prince and his wife who seemed to be estranged from the Queen of Canada, who had died, decide that they are going to move to South Park so that they'll get privacy. But to get their privacy, they go on television shows, do interviews, go on a world tour, and are constantly demanding privacy, even though they are very much continuing to insert themselves into the public life. Anyone who watched it knew that South Park was doing a parody of Prince Harry and Meghan Markle. Mainly because these are two people that wanted to leave the royal family, but then released a docuseries, Harry and Meghan, and I believe also have released a book, and all of it seems to be a lot of, it was tough to be in the royal family. You had no privacy, and sometimes they were racist. They were mean. What a fucking surprise. The English being racist, the most oppressive country in the world over the past 1,000 years. Racist? No. No way. Anyway, I saw an article the other day that suggested that there could be some legal action taken by Prince Harry and Meghan Markle against South Park. I'm reading from this article that I found. According to sources close to the ex-royals, it appears that, like so many things with Meghan and Harry, this may have legal ramifications attached. Their legal team are casting an eye over the episode to see what is wrong and what could be turned into something more sinister. This appears to be their course of action rather than laughing it off, enjoying the moment, and showing the world that they get the joke and understand this is how they are perceived. And maybe, dare we say, change. Dare we? But per source, they are very unhappy with this. And there are royal legal threats. They start off with rumblings, and it can turn into something else. And I guess the makers of South Park could be in trouble for being sued by the former prince and princess of Buckinghamshire Balls, or whatever the fuck they are. And there was a follow-up to this that came out of Newsweek. Prince Harry and Meghan Markle are not suing after being mocked by South Park, as their spokesperson told Newsweek claims the saga may have legal ramifications, are baseless and boring. The Duke and Duchess of Sussex, so fucking stupid, were mocked in a new episode of the cartoon, which showed the Prince and Princess of Canada on a worldwide privacy tour. The roast led to speculation they are considering legal action, but their spokesperson said this is baseless and boring. Royal commentator, there's a U.S. royal commentator, Jesus Christ, told Newsweek it was easy to see why the couple were not taking legal action. I highly doubt, said this royal commentator, Meghan and Harry are suing a satirical cartoon that famously ridicules everyone. If anything, they'll know by now they're in good company with other decent people who have been raked over the coals by the show. For example, South Park has repeatedly ridiculed Al Gore in his efforts to combat climate change. They made fun of Steve Irwin for being killed by a stingray just a few weeks after his death. They turned Rob Reiner into a punchline because of his weight. Are those three people like good people that are, I guess, hands off? Maybe Steve Irwin is. They've never been a bastion of good taste. Oh, fuck off. And they've absolutely been offensive. But again, they're also a cartoon, not a news outlet. And Harry and Meghan are unlikely to take a cartoon to court. We can't shit on the royal vagabonds for clearly seeking the attention that they're no longer due because they're outside the royal family. Why are things so hands-off with some in England when it comes to the royal family? I imagine it's not everybody, but I also would imagine that free speech laws are a little bit different in England. Are they completely immune from criticism? Do people there shit on them on the regular? I know they've got like the gossip rags and all the other stuff there that we have perhaps taken and turned into perfection via things like TMZ and stuff. But are they off limits over there? I doubt they are now that they've left. American woman takes Prince Harry away from the Palace of Buckinghamshire the Third, or whatever the fuck. Are they off limits? I really want to know. All I know is South Park's got its fastball back. If they are creating stories like this, and it was a very funny episode, because that honestly is the impression that I get of Harry and Meghan, that they want to be portrayed as victims. They want to brand themselves like that, and they want privacy. But while they're looking for this privacy, they are making money off of the fact that they will never be private. It's interesting. Let's transition from those two to another edition of Twitter is Terrible Tuesday. And today's account is one that I have seen regularly on my feed for the last couple of weeks. At JoJo from Jers. She tweeted this out. It popped up on my timeline. I've said it before, and I'll say it again, but I'm just so damn proud to call Joe Biden my president. Should any of us be proud of any of our elected politicians? They're not family. They're not friends. We don't know them. They don't truly give a shit about any of us, left or right. Why would you be proud of any politician, let alone a president who clearly doesn't have his faculties together the way that he did 10, 20 years ago? That's what happens when you get older. I don't want to punch an older person for perhaps not being as with it, but it's a weird thing to say that you're damn proud to call Joe Biden your president. And the only reason that I think someone would put that out there is, one, because they are very far in one direction or the other politically, and two, they're trying to create engagement and troll a shit ton of people. And that is what this person at JoJo from Jers is doing. Who is JoJo from Jers? This is her Twitter account. There's a blue check mark, but it's verified because it's subscribed to Twitter Blue. Her profile picture and her picture that's her cover photo, I don't know if they're the same person. Like this person versus this person, I don't think they're the same. But the profile picture works. I mean, a lot of people, bonk, are probably going to follow because it's a good-looking profile picture. Let's take a look at it one more time. Okay, that's probably why people are following it. Ooh, it's a hot person. She's got opinions. Maybe she'll show the occasional foot picture or bod picture. Ooh. Sorry to debase the person, but it does help to have a nice profile picture on Twitter. Let's shift back. Mom, Jersey, Dem, news junkie, Lebanese hothead geek, blocked by Chachi. I don't know who Chachi is. And there's a link to a TikTok. She has a Patreon. Jesus Christ. 784,000 followers on Twitter. I want to kill myself seeing this. God damn it. How does everyone get these big followings just by being, honestly, hacks online? I don't get it. Whatever. You know what? Everyone makes money in this country. USA, huh? So I want to take a look at one tweet that she put out there not too long ago, because former President Jimmy Carter is not doing so hot. And seems like he was always a decent guy. Was he a good president? I don't know. Is any politician truly a decent guy? I know that he's always been portrayed as extremely likable and kind, perhaps too kind. Whatever. I wasn't alive during his presidency, but did find it interesting watching that documentary about the Iran hostage crisis and how he handled that. But let's go back to tweets by JoJo from Jers. She tweeted this out. It's a Jimmy Carter quote. "We become not a melting pot, but a beautiful mosaic. Different people, different beliefs, different yearnings, different hopes, different dreams." That is actually a very powerful quote. because that is, I think, how all of us should take a look at other people who are different than us, whether it has to do with their race or religion or their political beliefs. We should be able to have different opinions, share them with one another, disagree, have fun, laugh at it, and then just walk away and not have feelings of resentment linger because this person thinks differently than you. Seems simple, right? But we all have tempers, and politics have turned into sports. There are two teams. My team does X. My team does Y. Well, fuck your team. Okay, fine. Seems a little bit aggressive. JoJo from Jers does not follow what Jimmy Carter's preaching there at all. She is one of many online pander handlers who is specifically targeting primarily an echo chamber of left-leaning folks, and two, to piss off right-leaning folks. And that is how she has gotten this really big following, by putting out shitty blanket statements like, I've said it before and I'll say it again, but I'm just so damn proud to call Joe Biden my president. Motherfuck. Here's another, let's throw something out there that a lot of people will agree with. Maybe someday women in America will have as many rights as guns do. That has 464,000 likes. It is pinned to her Twitter profile nearly a year ago. Well, congratulations on that tweet. That is better than anything I've ever done. Again, I want to off myself. That's the worst part about taking a look at all these terrible Twitter accounts. Another tweet. This is from today. Thanks to President Biden, the United States is once again a leader on the global stage and not a laughingstock. I mean, it's always going to be a laughingstock to some degree because people hate us because they ain't us. But do you feel like things are going great here? Anywhere? There's inflation. There's a lot of rancor politically. It doesn't seem like we can compromise on anything. I don't know if we're a leader on the global stage because of a change in presidents. And 100% this tweet is about the fact that Donald Trump is no longer the president of the United States. You put that out there, people in your echo chamber are going to glug that shit down. Another tweet from JoJo from Jers. And this is the kind of pandering stuff that you see from the left, which is essentially accusing people who lean right of being fascists. She really doesn't like Marjorie Taylor Greene. I'll be perfectly honest. Marjorie Taylor Greene seems like she's insufferable, so I'm not going to hate on it, but I hate all politicians generally equally. I think you have to earn me liking you or respecting you or treating you like you aren't some power-hungry person that is going to walk on the backs of others to get to a position that does what? Do you actually inspire change, or do you use that power you have for your own personal benefits? I tend to believe it's always going to be the latter. She tweeted this out. I can't help but wondering if this were the year 1941 and we knew then what we know now about what the Germans were doing. Where would Marjorie Taylor Greene and the rest of her caucus stand? Sadly, I think we know, don't we? You think she was going to be pro-killing Jews? Is that what you're suggesting? That's all you can suggest. If we knew what we knew now about the Germans, where would Marjorie Taylor Greene and the rest of her caucus stand? Let's just think about this objectively. Imagine being pro-killing people as a politician. Pro-genocide. Publicly. You think these people are going to feel that way privately? This is what bothers me about people that kind of paint the right with a broad brush. There's always this implication of racism or white supremacy and stuff. And I just don't believe that's true. I think a lot of people that lean right, they just don't want to pay a lot of taxes. And they are sick of seeing money that is taken via taxes spent on things that seem wasteful. And yeah, there's a religious element of it, and there's all sorts of elements of it. I'm just speaking for myself. Someone who I think is like financially conservative, socially liberal, which is what everybody says, but I guess, is that a libertarian? I don't know. I'm not any fucking party. All these parties are stupid. I have different beliefs on different things. But to act like the rest of people would be pro killing Jews or killing people that aren't Aryan, That's such a ridiculous thing to put out there. And this person has a massive following, and that tweet gets enough tweets. I don't get how that kind of rhetoric is something people want to follow. This is why I think Twitter sucks, especially for political discourse. Because fucking vultures like this bitch, no offense, get to do this. This person sucks. Much like someone who does this, that Brooklyn dad guy a couple of weeks ago that we did. He's an asshole. These people suck. Let's keep going. Oh, we got another one. I am so incredibly proud to call Joe Biden my president. All right. Well, I guess we're just, recycling content every 2 weeks. Another tweet in President Biden's historic visit to Ukraine is an important signal to the world and a great big F you to Vladimir Putin. All right. To be perfectly honest, I feel like it's more a sign that we're meddling with a country that's not our ally and putting a lot of money into that country. They're not our ally, and there are other things that may have been going on in Ukraine that we may have been involved in back in the day. Whatever. Largobot, twitch.tv/Gallant says, Joe should have given the $500 million to the Twitch. Yes, then I wouldn't say anything anymore. I would totally use that money and go into silence. EasyMB at youtube.com/Paul Gallant. I enjoy South Park more now than the new episodes 5 or 6 years later. Or 5 or 6 years ago. Perez88 says, hell no, bleep the Royals. Why did I say bleep? Fuck the Royals and Joe Biden, period. Any type of person who doesn't give a shit about use working men and women to their own agenda and stuff like that. Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm not reading that comment 100% correctly, but I mean, yeah, man, like that's what these people are. And just one last one. Fox News, MSNBC, like they're just as bad as each other. CNN, same thing. Rachel Maddow, Sean Hannity. Are they the same person? Just ask yourself that. Both of these television stations will put a story out there. It's one of those stories that generally is going to drive people fucking crazy. You're going to get mad about it. And then when there's actual follow-up information that perhaps explains the story, is there ever a follow-up? Do they ever correct themselves? They generally don't. I feel like both television stations, CNN and Fox News, they do this. JoJo from Jersey tweeted this. Anyone who chooses to get their news from Fox clearly has no use for facts. Let me put this on the screen. They have no use for the truth. They want to be lied to. Life is much easier that way. Is CNN not the same thing? Is MSNBC not the same thing? Are all essentially non-independent news channels this, given the amount of money that they are taking from Big Pharma, Pfizer, Moderna? Does anyone tell the truth anymore? I mean, TV news is essentially the same thing that people in our industry see with First Take and all those sports television shows, Speak for Your Pizza, whatever the fuck. All these shows, it's generally the same thing. They're going to put something out that gets you mad. You'll come back the next day because you want to get mad. You watch this because you want to get mad. You maybe go on Twitter because you want to get mad. And this person, at JoJo from Jersey, has proved like there's so many people like this that go on Twitter and exploit angry people that lean one political way or another and warp their mindset into thinking that there is actually no hope for us when it comes to compromise and having civil discussions with one another about differing political beliefs. Drives me crazy. I fucking hate this app, and I hope that Elon ruins it more quickly than he is. Anyway, that's going to wrap up today's edition of the Gallant Says podcast. Make sure that you subscribe wherever you get your podcast so you can hear the whole thing if you don't want to watch it. Twitch.tv/Gallant Says and youtube.com/Paul Gallant is how you can stream it live weekdays 1 to 1:30, but it's also on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, SoundCloud. Subscribe, rate, review, roast, tell a friend. I am merely Paul Gallant. So long, farewell. Have yourselves a wonderful Tuesday. We'll be back.